Hi, welcome to my studio. My name is Jason Morgan. I'm a wildlife artist, and I wanted to do this video because there's been a lot of interest in pastels and pastel pencils after I put up a few of my latest pastel videos online. And as I've said on some of the videos, many years ago I started trying out pastels. I've done oils for 20 years and I thought it'd be nice to diversify with the media, so I thought I'd try out some pastels as well, pastel pencils. And I got some materials, various materials, some pencils, some different papers, tried it out. Nothing would work. I just could not get the detail I wanted. I found out to work backwards, kind of like with coloured pencils where you reserve the lights, which I didn't want to do. So long story short, I gave up on that, just stuck strictly to my oils, and more recently did a bit of charcoal and graphite and that as well. So lately I've gone back to pastels, but I've tried out different papers. I've got some of the reviews on my YouTube channel. I've tried out different pencils, I've tried out different pastel sticks as well, and the most important part was for me the paper, to make the techniques work that I've been using now that makes drawing and painting with pastels realistically much easier. So I wanted to show you in depth the two types of papers that are really out there. It's kind of a textured paper, so a sanded surface paper. The one I usually use is Pastelmat, but you can also get pastel card, you can get UArt. There's a few different types out there, but the main part with them is that they are roughly textured, so kind of like a very fine sandpapery texture to them, and that allows you to hold more layers. The other type of paper out there, which is what people usually start with when they're doing pastels because it's cheaper basically, and you think, well, if I don't like it, I don't want to spend too much money, and that's what I did to start with. I took a look at some online classes and they was using this type of paper, and it's more of a flimsy paper. Here's an example. This is Rowney paper. It's called Ingress, so it's a sandy colour as well, comes in various colours, and in comparison this would be a Pastelmat paper, much more rigid and a very fine sandpapery feel to it, almost a velvety feel, but it's not like velour, which is a very soft feel. This is like a very fine sandpapery feel to it. In comparison, this is more like a paper. So I want to show you the two different types, so let's take a look. I want to show you what they can actually do and what they can't do. So let's, for instance, say that I wanted to look at doing something like a lion. So on this section I wanted to get some detailed fur going on there. Now if I was using Pastelmat, this is what I would do. Okay, so let's get that out the way, and I'd want to go in, let's just roughly put in a very basic shape, okay, and it'd be darker in there. So what I would do very quickly, very basically, so this is not a technique type of video, this is a showing you what the papers will and won't do video, so don't expect any masterpieces here at all. This is just very quickly going down. And let me zoom in a section for you a minute so you can see this texture on the paper. Okay, so hopefully you can see that ridge texture. Now that's on the paper, that's in the paper. Okay, so I put in a dark, nice dark, and then I probably want some darkish browns coming out of there as well. Let's do this part as well, just a bit. As I said, just showing you what the paper will kind of do. And that'll be darkish going in there, but it'll be more of a brown. Okay, so this is the way I would like to be able to use this paper, because, or any paper when I'm doing pastels, because it makes sense to me to be working from dark to light, because when you're doing wildlife and animals, the darker areas are down inside or into and in between the fur. yeah, the shadowy areas. The highlights are caused usually by the light, the sunlight shining on these upper layers. Okay, so it makes sense, and that's the way you can do it with oil paints. You can't do that with coloured pencils easily, because you can't put light over dark. With oils and opaque paints you can. Okay, so that's why I'm not that fussed on coloured pencils either. Okay, so it's not really going as dark as I want for a start. Try my finger as well. Let's get some browns in here. Colours wouldn't be important, it's just the effect I want to show you guys. Okay. So that would be my dark underdrawing, because I want to now put lighter layers on top. So this is what I would do. Got some pencils here, going from dark up to light. So I would like to put in the suggestions to start with of some of the darker fur areas, because as I said, this makes sense to me to be doing the dark first and then lighter on top. Okay. Now I'm not saying these papers are bad, but all I'm saying is, if you want to do the kind of realism that I've done in the way that I've done them using my techniques, I wanted to show you what happens if you use a different paper. So I'm going a bit lighter. Okay, so just the suggestions of the technique. These few lines go a bit more wiggly up by here. That's a technical term, wiggly lines. And these come in. And then around a bit. Okay, super fast. And bear in mind, this is quite a large, you can imagine if I was doing the whole of the lion's head, this would be a pretty big drawing. Okay. So now I'd like to go lighter on top. And now you can start to see the problems. It's not going lighter, it's pretty much just going a soft appearance to it. Blending, I've got to push quite hard there just to get those marks. I'm getting a fur texture, but I am having to push really hard. If I want to blend a bit, I can. So what I'm finding is, basically, it's not holding the layers, and it's barely allowing me to go light over dark. You see when I'm going there, how it's really blending into it rather than the lighter colour sitting on top. So if I try to get this really light, I've got to push in very hard, and it's even damaging the surface of the paper. And you can still see these, you can see the texture of the paper, you can still see that in there, which I don't like. And bear in mind, the lighter that I'm going, the larger that I'm going with this drawing, the easier it is to do this. But if I was using a small drawing, you can imagine if this is really tiny and I was trying to get in those details, I'd be struggling big time with it. Okay, so if I was really trying to get details in there, I'd be struggling a lot. Let me try and go even lighter. So when you're trying to build even more layers, can you see how it's barely sitting on the surface? I'm really pushing hard, and when you compare the vibrancy of what's on the page to the pencil, I'm losing a heck of a lot of it. Okay, so now I've switched over to the Pastelmat paper, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to keep the same pencils, pretty much everything the same, so just a basic shape, roughly. Darker area will be in there. Already you can probably tell just by the sound how much softer this seems to be. So dark around here. Now I wouldn't normally be going in this erratic, I'd be taking my time, but as I said, this is just showing you kind of techniques on the paper surface, because loads of people trying out pastels for the first time and they're having it horrendous time and they're giving up straight away, and they've got a lot of expensive pencils there going to waste. Okay, that's a bit of the dark, some dark brown on. Just to add a bit of colour variance. Let's do it quite fast. This is just so the lighter tones will show up, yeah? If I'm going dark underneath, and the lights are not going to show. A bit more dark down in here. So I can rub it with my finger. But if I want to get it really into the tooth of the paper, I use one of these paper stumps on the side. Very easy to blend. So you can do a side, large area on the side. Okay, so that's the darks in, okay? Simple as that. Very little dust there either. Let's get that out of the way. Grab my pencils. Okay, so let's go in with the darker ones first. I don't know how easily you can see that, but you can see it's really holding the shape of the pencils straight away. I've gone a bit darker by there really. Just smudge that in now. Okay. So just show you the quick technique. Well, not really about the technique, it's about the paper as I said. So just grab this in quickly. Just so I've got a kind of a mid-tone under there. I wouldn't necessarily be using this yellowy type of paper either, but pastel papers can be fairly expensive and I wanted to keep my good colours for my proper drawings. Just go down by here a bit, so that's kind of the middle to darker tones in there. Let's pick a next colour up. So look now, this is what I wanted to show you. See how much brighter I'm able to go? And it's easy, going on really easy. It's got a nice bit of softness to it as well. And if I want a softer mark, I'm just using the pencil lightly, going in that fur direction. As I say on all my videos, it's really important. Let's move that out of the way. You can see how much I'm rushing this, but you see the principle here. If I go by here, a bit more distinctive these marks. I got a nice round mark by there. Let's come around. Obviously if I was doing this properly I'd be using all different colours going in rather than just a few. And these go into the darkness by there. A bit lighter down on this section. So you can see the difference already between this Pastelmat paper. They're using exactly the same pencils, they're the same colours, there's nothing different about them. They're sharpened the same way, makes no difference. It's all about the paper. Let's go a bit lighter. Now you can see how the colour of the pencil is showing up well on the paper. This is why I wanted to show you how big a difference it is. So just because you may be saving $1 or £1 or whatever on a piece of paper, don't forget the art you're doing. You're probably going to be doing it on you for probably 8 hours on a normal size drawing. So, you know, why not invest an extra £1 on a piece of paper if it's going to be on somebody's wall as well forever? You're not going to have all the frustration of it not working. So going a bit lighter, and look, just a little bit of extra pressure, and it's working, it's coming out, no problems. This is why I gave up before, because this wouldn't work. And I can go right into the dark and it's showing up, no problem at all. If I wanted to soften an area, just touch it with my finger. Easy, super easy. This is why we can get more realism now in our artwork, because we can do things like this. But now these papers are available, these sanded papers. See, and I could even go lighter if I wanted to. Around by here. Oh, I've sharpened that a bit too far. That's going to snap, yeah, straight away. You see how I layer colours as well. Okay? Just lightly over the top, and even go on this side. And I show you this in my videos. I can just glaze these little colours over the top without disturbing the underneath layer too much. And let's say I wanted to go really light. See how that's showing up as well. This would not work and does not work on the papers that are like that Ingress paper. I'm not saying it's a bad paper, but I'm just saying for this technique it's not working properly. Yeah, doesn't work when you're trying to layer like this. Look, I can go really right if I wanted to. I'm still building layers on this Pastelmat paper. So let's just go really bright on the edge, even though it's much brighter than on the reference. Just want to show you what this can do. So let's compare the two. I did try fairly hard on the Ingress paper as well, and that's what happens when you're working on this type of paper. And I've seen people create art with this type of paper, and you can get nice drawings out, don't get me wrong. From what I've seen, you've got to use this more like coloured pencils. So you need to start to layer down your darks, your lights, sorry. So let's say that this needed to be a browny colour. You'd want to go like that and start like that, and then perhaps work up in your colours and then go a bit darker, blend in, and then you could, you know, start to, if you had a lighter area, you'd have to start to leave areas, reserve lights again, because you can't easily put a light over a dark at all. You see, look at that. And it's taking the black off it and putting it more on the pencil than anything. When you start filling the tooth of this up, it's gone. Whereas with this, I'm still getting my light over the dark. So I hope that that's shown you what the papers can and can't do. Now if you're doing expressive work with virtually no layers, or perhaps just 1 or 2 layers, then perhaps you like the texture, the appearance of the Ingress type of papers, and there's lots of manufacturers do this type of paper. So don't just think because Pastelmat, for instance, is Clairefontaine, that that's all they do. They do lots of other papers as well. So make sure you get the sanded type of paper if you want to build up lots of layers. It's going to make a massive difference. Perhaps with the expressive, more larger works, perhaps you like the Ingress. So you're going to have to try them for yourself. But I wanted to clear this up because I know lots of beginners especially are having problems getting details. So hope you've enjoyed that video. Hope it's helped you, and I'll see you all again real soon. If you're looking for more art resources, I've really got you covered. I've got a dedicated tutorial website, that's jasonmorgan.co.uk. Lots of videos on there, ebook tutorials, you name it, it's on that site. I've got a Patreon art channel. So every month I put up brand new videos, and that could be pastel videos, oils, charcoals, they're full-length videos, and there's also photo references with the Easy Trace line art on there. I've got quite a few hundred people supporting me, and that's on Patreon. And also if you're after even more reference photos, I got a dedicated website just packed with reference photos. I think there's about 900 on there at the moment. So that's wildlifeart-online.com. Now please, with my YouTube channel, new videos coming on here as well. If you can possibly subscribe to the channel, then you're never going to miss out on new videos.